Pharaonic Guardian is a set where the time and love is so obvious in the finished product. From art to mechanics, the themes explored in the set tie in so well with the storyline presented almost entirely visually. A small group of tomb raiders battle against the trials of the desert, finally arriving at a burial site. They descend into the crypt, facing labyrinthian architecture, diabolic traps, and the opposition of monsters. Let's take a bit of a break from the narrative and tackle mechanics now, though. There are actually a whole host of tomb raiders competing for loot, but the focus is on the Dark Scorpion burglars. Chick the Yellow was introduced in Dark Crisis, and Cliff the Trap Remover in Magician's Force. Now, we see the leader of the pack, Don Zalug. Each member of the Dark Scorpions has a modal effect based on dealing battle damage. We see each of the mentioned members navigate traps. Chick the Yellow navigating timidly, Cliff the Trap Remover falling down a trap dust chute, and Don Zalug finding himself between perilous needle walls. These traps feel like real traps, which is a weird thing to say. A good number of trap cards feel closer to spells or artifacts, like Jar of Greed for instance, which isn't particularly threatening. Instead, we see needle ceilings and nightmare wheels. There are a good number of continuous spell and traps in the set, and there's a bit of a subtheme within them being direct damage. The nightmare cards of Dark Room of Nightmare, Nightmare Wheel, and even the monster Nightmare Horse. Nightmare Horse actually ties in quite well with the main monster theme, the undead. Hordes of such fiends and zombies wander the crypts, answering the call of the mummy. Notable examples are Dark Dust Spirit, an expansion of the spirit monsters released in Legacy of Darkness. Hellpomer exerts vengeance from beyond the grave, and there is even a tiny story contained in Great Dazard, who attains power through battle, then becomes a lich, Fushio Richi, which seems to be a mistranslation of the Japanese name, Nosferatu Lich. The undead theme carries on into the other monsters mechanically, setting and flipping monsters. Giant Axe Mummy, Royal Keeper, and Des Lacuda are zombies which can flip themselves face down, and gain a benefit when they are flipped face up. Wandering Mummy builds on this, allowing the shuffling of face-down monsters to add an element of mystery among the shifting sarcophagi. Guardian Sphinx offers bounce, a reference to the riddle of the Sphinx, reflected in the card The Ordeal of the Traveler. Swarm of Scarabs and Swarm of Locusts offer monster and back row removal options. There is even an anti-face-down insect with 8 Claws Scorpion. With the accompanying spell and trap support, we see another take on Desert Sunlight with Book of Taiyu, as well as the extremely disruptive quick play spell of Book of Moon. Finally, there is Cobraman Sakuzi, which seems to be reanimated in Rite of Spirit, which points to one other set of players which have been waiting in the shadows. We see not one, but 2 archetypes featured, the first being Dark Scorpions, and the second Gravekeepers. Residing in their Necro Valley, this small band of royal protectors are highly specialized. A spy for intel, a guard for defense, a spear soldier to punish set monsters, an assailant for difficult targets, a watcher to protect from discards, a chief in control, and then a trio of effect damage monsters, Cannon Holder, Vassal, and Curse. The effect damage monsters tie in with the burn subtheme we mentioned earlier, but Curse in particular is interesting. There are several different interpretations of the mummy's curse, a mysterious ailment which afflicted the team which originally discovered King Tutankhamun. In card form, we see Curse of Aging, Curse of the Royal, and the insidious Dark Snake Syndrome. Curse of Royal, Timidity, and Dark Coffin all fit a theme of disincentivizing the destruction of spell and trap cards, an attempt to preserve the mystery of the unknown. But there is a reason to brave the dangers and journey deep into the tombs. Treasure. Secret Pass to the Treasure reinforces the direct damage theme. And in particular, I want to point out the contrast between the cards Reckless Greed and both Pharaoh's Treasure and Different Dimensional Capsule. Reckless Greed is instant gratification, but ultimately a -1 in card advantage. Meanwhile, Pharaoh's Treasure shuffles itself into the deck, then acts as a better magical stone excavation. On the other hand, Different Dimension Capsule adds a desired card from the deck to the hand after 2 turns. This is a pretty strong search for the time, but still slow. Both Pharaoh's Treasure and Different Dimensional Capsule are delayed, but perhaps more powerful than Reckless Greed in a longer game. Overall, this set is put together so well. There's just so much depth in the exploration of the themes and ideas, in the card names, art, and mechanics. On top of this, there is a wealth of other desert and Egyptian influences on Yu-Gi-Oh!, ripe for analysis in a future Yu-Gi-Oh! Inspirations video. But for today, I was just so distracted by the planning and execution behind this set. I would go as far as to say masterful, definitely underrated, and something I just had to share.